So welcome to the Laura and Benny show after 2 long years of sitting at home with this man. We finally got back to the structure that we originally wanted to do when we set these podcasts up, and that was actually getting actual human beings to come in, a real person. We've sterilised and antigen tested him on the way in the door. But just to actually sit down with another wedding supplier. And today I'm very excited because you're not just a wedding supplier, you're also a fellow wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And today we have and I'm gonna have to reference you as this because I didn't tell you about this, Sean.
Okay.
But from social media,
Right.
you've become Sean Sharpe, the soundest wedding photographer in Ireland. Sean is so sound, the soundest man we've met.
That's costing me a fortune, that one.
But Sean, you were our first guest back after COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, very good.
yeah,
I'm the first.
Yeah, you're the first.
Nice one. Yeah,
I know.
Cool.
Do you feel privileged?
I absolutely do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So how is it being the soundest photographer in Ireland? Like, do you find that
It's tough. No, it's
Yeah.
a tough one. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's great. It's great. It's
great.
It's great. It's kind of
How
going.
sound? But you're very sound though for coming in to be the first guest after COVID.
Yeah, sure. I didn't know it was the first. I probably would have pushed it out. And let's do the teething into it.
But other than getting through COVID and surviving
Yeah.
lockdown, you were busy in the meantime though, because
Yeah.
you produced another human being.
Yes.
You did.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Yes, produced another human, yeah, little version of me. Yeah, she's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's good. She's 3 months now. So
Wow. Okay. No
Yeah.
sleep.
a little bit.
Be great.
It's a little bit here and
Who
there.
needs sleep?
Nah,
The
don't.
next 6 months are going to be an experience.
Oh my god, I know. Right into the season as well, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Yeah.
We'll meet you in 6 months' time and be like, how was the summer, Sean? You'll be like, I don't remember.
I don't know, 4 stone lighter, grey hair, you know, missing a tooth. Yeah, that's all these things, really, you know.
Missing a
You know, you
tooth.
never know why. You know.
But I suppose we're going to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
We're photographers. You're a photographer. It's nice that we can all sit down and chat though.
Yeah, that's
it's
great,
good. But we're a duo.
Mhm.
You're a one-man band.
Yes.
How did you find being, I suppose the traditional way
No, the
is a
traditional way,
photographer
there's nothing wrong with
was
having
on their
yeah.
own. There's not
Yeah.
that many of the two going on.
Duos.
The
yeah.
duos.
Yeah.
But how do you find being, you're the main photographer on the day?
It's
It's you, it's Sean.
Yeah, look, it's great. In terms of, I suppose, like you're a bit more stretched sometimes, you know, especially if brides and grooms you're trying to do both sides. But no, you make it work, and you know I think most brides when they can't, because majority it's always the bride anyway. That's in touch with you, you know.
Yeah.
They you know, can you cover the groom? And normally it's, you know, if you're kind of within a reasonable distance you can do it. But sometimes, you know, if it's too much, then you try and rejig it to, let's say, do, you know, the detailed shots and all that outside, let's say the church or during the couple session. But no, it has its moments. It has its moments to try and to make
We're
it
so lucky that there are two of us, and to be honest,
Yeah.
like, I have it easy. Laura takes the brunt like you do,
Yeah.
and I'm just a photographer all day long.
Yeah.
You're people persons, and really have to manage all the emotions and kind of interact with everybody, which is pretty impressive.
I'm assuming you like people, Sean, being a wedding photographer.
Absolutely.
You get on.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely been long round of work otherwise. Yeah. No, it's brilliant. No, it's, you know, you turn up to win it. It's always great atmosphere. It's always good vibes. You know, even if there's hiccups on the day, and there always is some form of hiccup on the day, you work with them, you make work, you reassure them. You know, it's always fun on a wedding morning anyway.
I think we're lucky in a sense of people always say to us, you know, you do such a lovely job, and we like you probably get said the same things to you like all day long as well. Same, but it is genuinely such a lovely job because
it is, and like when I started back in 2019. You know, when you do your first wedding, I was like, I'm hooked here. You know, this is brilliant. You know, and you're kind of, I suppose when you're starting out, you always have some form of employment elsewhere as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's very hard to go back into that, knowing you've had that side of things. You know what that's like.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear in life now. Is if for whatever reason this
there are
doesn't
no
happen
weddings
anymore.
Yeah.
I think we've seen the last 2 years that weddings aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine ever doing anything else.
No,
you do get, it's addictive.
I know. I'm officially unemployable anymore now. You know, like no one will touch me anymore.
That's brilliant, because like I say that people weddings, when they have the intention to do it, like the difference between what you think weddings are going to be and your tent wedding is incredible.
Yes.
And if you don't like weddings, if you don't like people, you find that out pretty quickly, and it's a testament probably to your personality and the fact that you can interact with other suppliers who are saying you're the soundest photographer in Ireland. But like you say, if you look forward to it, if you enjoy it, that's what you want from your photographer, because you do need to be a people person to interact with so many different people.
No, absolutely. It really goes hand in hand. You know, you have to love the job and love the people as well that you're working with. I think you always build a relationship with the person beforehand as well, you know, but even if it's only emails, but you know, you
feel like you know them before you get there.
You do. I mean, even if it's something like an Instagram follow, you know, you're always you'll be liking their photos. I'd be like, you know, it's all these little things, but it's all
stalking each other online.
Officially, all proper creeping, you know.
Everyone loves to go creepy.
How was the hen? You know, it was good. Yeah, you're all like that. Yeah.
That's totally it. But I suppose you touched on it there. Like you came into the wedding world, I suppose. 2019.
2019. Yeah.
Epic timing, Sean.
Good timing. Yeah. It wouldn't be me unless it was. Yeah.
The impression was you were just about to take off and you were flying and you were doing great.
Yeah.
And then of course like March 2020 comes along.
I know, yeah. It was like, I mean, I suppose April 2019, sorry, was my first one. Yeah. And I had a few bookings and I got married myself then in 2019 in October. So thank you. Yeah, she's still with me. Like I suppose the bookings were coming in, you know, and it's always that trickle when it starts and then it starts to roll nicely after that, you know. And I was always kind of going to jump ship from my job, let's say the summer 2020.
Yes.
And you know, when you're trying to apply for a mortgage and all these things are kicking in as well. You know, I'm going to stay put where I am now. But
so were you lucky enough that you held your employment and kind of it softened the kind of the shock of
absolutely.
COVID at weddings?
Yeah, it definitely did. And in comparison to some suppliers, I was very lucky that I was able to. And I know some suppliers were going off getting jobs, they were driving events, they were doing everything, and everyone did everything they could. I suppose, like what we were saying there, that when you have such a buzz off a wedding day, it's very hard to keep going with that as well. And with COVID and everything, it just knocks every process becomes longer with COVID to try and escape. I wouldn't say escape, but you know,
that's true.
In case my employer's listening, not escape, no, lovely place. But it's
a total escape, Sean. We all escaped. He calls himself semi-retired.
We can't say that to the public.
I'm so going to hang you.
No, and it's great, you know, and when you finally get to go in, it's just, I suppose for me it was all the more sweeter when I actually made it to full time, to be like that's it now. I'm here, you know. And it's been great time as well, you know. We had a baby in January, and it's amazing to be able to be at home for a lot more of the week than, you know. I suppose you might be gone Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and they're long days you're gone, but it's great to be.
Not 5 days a week.
It's still not 5 days a week, you know. And I suppose when I was working full time, it was Monday to Friday, and you'd be taking your day's holidays to a wedding on a Friday or a Thursday, and then Saturday. Literally Sunday was your day's break, and even at that, there's no
search on. We did the same. It was 7 days a week.
It's just full on, you know. But timing probably wasn't the best, but you know, everything happens for a reason.
But I must say though, you hit the ground running, because because in my mind, because this is quite funny, because this is the first time we've actually met in person.
We all kind of know what each other look like, you know.
Because we've chatted between DMs and actually on the phone for the past 3 years.
Yes. But
it feels much longer. It feels like you've been around a lot longer. But that's a real testament to the quality of your work, your presence, the way you did, even with the pandemic kind of coming in on top of you, you still made such a big name for yourself in such a sort and maybe you don't realize it yourself how other people perceive it.
No, I don't.
But it doesn't feel like it was only I genuinely, I think when I started seeing your stuff, it probably was around 2019.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like it was so, it was beautiful, it was so established, it was well presented, and I was like, no, I just didn't know of him before now, kind of thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Rather than he's just come onto the scene now. It was absolutely I love your stuff. Okay. I'm on my brides, I'm not free, but contact Sean.
But I suppose one thing from the kind of, we don't want to be harping on about COVID too much, but I think you mentioned it was because it is something that's it's not just going to go away, is kind of the cover, whether it's unfortunately guests are going to probably cry off from weddings, or suppliers are going to be unavailable for weddings, but you really noticed that the community really came together in terms of wedding photographers and wedding suppliers.
Absolutely.
And that was one thing you wanted to compliment.
I suppose as you know, when I started out, suppliers would contact you and give you advice, which was one thing, and then COVID hit. and people, you know, everyone rallied around each other very, very well.
Amazing
And particularly, you know, if photographers do get sick or videographers, everyone. But even if it's like not photographers, but photographers, flowers,
exactly,
everyone knows someone who can
right.
help out.
Yeah.
And like, I'll give a text, I'll know someone, you know, or we'll get it sorted. And it's been brilliant, and it's, you know, from everything. Thank everyone for every bit of advice and all
of last
around
week would be helpful to people.
Because I don't like always when we've done this, it's always just to be helpful to people, and I don't want to put like any like horror stories out there, but it's just more, I don't want people thinking, sure, look, it's done now, it's over, everything's open, restrictions are lifted, we're all grand. Unfortunately, COVID's kind of still just in the shadows. It's still there, that's it. And I mean, like, even for an example, like last week was a couple, their photographer couldn't come, but it was only like 24 hours notice. That's it. Like, but between a few of us, we were able to get you there.
Yeah.
Like literally within it was 12 hours notice.
It was great about that. It was great, and you know, it's brilliant that we can all say, you know, recommend, you know, my date is booked, but look, I know these great people here that can probably help check out their stuff, give them a shout if you like their style, you know.
So it's the web connection. Like sometimes you get lucky, the first phone call solves the situation. But the web connection was quite wide there. But everybody worked to help out that couple who were getting married. And I think that's the big compliment to the wedding industry.
No, it's brilliant. You know, it's so I suppose I never really realised how everyone's so connected when I first came into this game.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that everyone knows everyone, be it, you know, through Instagram or in person or meeting at wedding shows. It's, you know, it's just. It's super, especially Cork and Munster. It's very, very good.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
And I think it's just like for people out there, like, so, you know, it's more kind of like obviously it's not nice if a supplier can't make a short-term notice. But I think the thing to take from it is that we are a great community, and if it does happen, even if it's the hairdresser finding the photographer for you, or vice versa,
absolutely.
you know, like go to your other suppliers that can still help out. They will help you. Like we're all going. No one's going to see someone stuck.
No.
So you can turn a real negative moment into it's okay. There's a good outcome.
Absolutely.
There's a definite good outcome.
Totally.
And I suppose, like, did you have any like, I know we were harping on it for the last 2 years with some crazy pandemic stories. Do you have any, like, you know, something that stands out in your mind?
No, do you know what? I've been really, really lucky.
I love it.
Everything, you know, and I get really nervous telling people, like, no, I've been fairly okay all the way through, you know. And I suppose, you know, there has been a lot of reschedulings, and you can nearly see the stress in people already by coming to you and saying, look, we're changing our date again, and the restrictions, and you know, and it's through no fault. I think a lot of the time it was like, it's 25 guests, I can't have 25 guests, I really need the 100. Family's so important, and the constant moving and changing the goalposts there.
And they're almost afraid to tell you because they feel bad.
Yeah.
But you're kind of going, well, it's your day.
Yeah,
like, so whatever you want to do.
Yeah, no, let me know. I can do what I can for you, you know.
That's it. Did you do any 6-person weddings?
No, I didn't. No, I got cancelled. Cancelled. I was lucky with the 25. And I suppose, you know, a lot of the couples that would ask me, they would ask, like, what's a wedding with 25? Like, what's a wedding with 50 people? Like, and I've said to them, you will not know any different. It's still going to be an amazing day. Yeah,
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been harping on about that for so long.
I think everyone is. I suppose when we first went into it, going, I have a guest, and I was like 25 people, you know. And I suppose from a photography side of things, you literally can get a photograph of every guest at the day.
Yeah.
It's so
much
easy.
easier than 400.
Oh my god, it's like a dibs, you know. That's it, you know. But it's you know, everything has its silver lining.
Yeah.
On those
I love an
days,
intimate wedding. I'm a mad fan.
Oh no, totally.
Love it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It has there's a different vibe to the different size weddings, isn't there?
Unreal.
And no right or wrong, but it has like a real chilled, relaxed, easy
going.
And
everyone, and particularly for the bride and groom, they can all talk to their guests. They all get around to everyone. Whereas I think when you have the guests of, you know, you're 300 or 400, you're trying to get around to everyone, which can be quite difficult, you know.
That's it.
But I've been quite lucky through COVID. I've had no absolute dramas or anything. I suppose January 2021, alright, photographer pulled out last minute again through reschedulings. So the bride, I think she had, was it 6 or 7 schedules So
Wow.
like the dates on the back of the pajamas was one date, the
Wow.
slippers were a different date, the invitation was another date, the ring said another date. You know, so it just really showed like the impact down the road of all this kind of side of things.
We had a couple actually, and he was doing his wedding album, and like do you know the way, like, so there's so many dates going around for us, like, so when someone sends you the album details and I get them to like write out exactly like how do you want the names written, like what format do you want the date written in, you know, for like if it's printed on the box of the album, and so he sent it on to me and I put it on the album and I thought nothing of it. He sent me the original date, so but I was like, oh, it's grand, I'll change it. He's like, no, we love it.
No, yeah,
we love that it actually.
I know, and
it's a great story.
And I think looking back 20 years time, you know, it's just going to be like that wasn't our date, but that's our date.
That's
now,
our date.
you know, and it's you know, and I think you know, it's just such a wild thing that we've just gone through in the last
and hopefully that's it, and we're all going to have
absolutely,
because 2022 I'm a little like, I know we're in it and I know it's April, I kind of still feel like I'm working my way up to it, but it's going to be a marathon of a wedding for
ultra marathon,
a marathon for wedding, a marathon of a year for wedding season.
You know, it's full on this year, and 2023 is going to be still another.
It's amazing though.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's
you
great.
finally get your busy years, Sean. We'll get you back in 2 years and we'll have a chat then.
I suppose you mentioned 23 and 24, so we've started to see some bookings coming in 24, and I suppose that's to give people a heads up who probably they could be engaged just gone at Christmas, and I suppose the window for booking wedding photographers particularly can be, like we always say, if you're within 12 months, it can be tough to find a date that matches up. But if you're 18 months to 24 months, you have more of a chance of getting the photographer you want, rather than having to do the hop around and kind of check out different photographers. And I suppose that's one thing we can say to people is.
But then it is still, like, I mean, if you're like, obviously the popular dates are going to go quite quick. But there's people getting married on Tuesdays and Wednesdays now because they're like, I'm not waiting anymore. I got engaged 2 years ago. I've waited for the restrictions to lift. There's nothing left, but I'm just going to get married. I had a girl on to me there the last day. She's going to get married this year. She went skiing. He proposed. That was Tuesday. By Sunday, she had the whole wedding booked. I was like, well done to you. That was amazing. And she's like, no, I can relax. I love it.
Pedal off now. See you end of
it. But I suppose we'll get away from COVID because I don't want to. I know we can't ignore it. It's still there. But at the same time, we don't need to talk about it either. But I suppose when it comes to photography, how would you describe your style of photography?
Oh, I get asked this, and I don't. To be honest, it's such a mix because I suppose it depends on the days and the couples and the venue. And if we're going for let's say like a castle type venue, or we're going to like an old ruin or something like that, you know, you get very, very atmospheric photos and that. But I've kind of gone to a point where, like, if I can pop off a smoke bomb and create a fog effect, I'll do that. So I suppose I'd like to say creative would be kind of one way. I'd like to work with reflections and smoke bomb and sparkle. You know, we've all this side thing. But there's a lot to be said for your kind of your natural, your candid style stuff as well. And that's kind of the main approaches I get. Most of my days, I try and adopt that because I think most of us, especially me, and I remember my wedding, you know, I was just like, oh my God, my jaw is hanging off here, you know, from smiling so much. And I really it was some of the candid photos we got were fabulous. And I think most people, when they come back, they say the in the moment photos are really what they really, really love.
And they didn't even know it was taken.
And didn't even know it was there, you know, you're off hiding in a bush somewhere trying to get it.
That's all I'm good for. No, it's a great thing whereby I call Laura the decoy. And basically, like, she's setting up everything, she's chatting away, and then actually allows me to be off in the bush, up a tree, on a wall, take a photograph, and bang.
And it's the unknowing. I think we're at our most comfortable when we don't know. But
that's down to the photographer's personality as well. It's so important.
No,
it's kind of putting someone at ease is a skill in itself, I think.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And I think a lot of couples, when they come to be, you know, you have your chats a few weeks beforehand just to kind of go through the finer details of the day. I think they're like, look, we are not really posy kind of couples, and
everyone always says
everyone says the same, and I'm like, look, you're going to do great.
I hate my photo being taken.
But I know, and I think, you know, I think when you kind of reassure them, like, I'll pose you, but you won't really know you're being posed. You know, as that.
We'll show you where to put these two things.
You know.
And then from there.
And it's just reassurance. And I think a lot of times you can just show them, even like just turning camera around and say, look, that's you there, and they go, oh my god, and it kind of eases them a small bit, you know. And
that's a really good point, because a lot of girls say to me that, you know, the way they would look at your Instagram page and they see all these very romantic and very, as you said, creative shots, and they look at it and they see these two people and they think, that's absolutely beautiful, but I can't do that. That can't be me. Like, I won't look like that because
I won't interact like that.
Yeah, we're not that comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
But I think what people need to understand is that as photographers, that's our job, is to make you that comfortable with each other.
It just builds a bit of confidence in them, I think, you know. And I think from my own approach, my day off very easy.
Yes.
You know, like, just hold hands, look at each other, go for a stroll.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll just photograph around that. And then, you know, you get a little bit more comfortable in, and then you build in your kind of your wow shot. You know, I love to have like a main image from the day, and that's normally what I post on Instagram, is the one, you know, with the moody skies or smoke bomb behind you. You know, these are the kind of ones that I like to do.
So I suppose that's really good to get across, because like what you're kind of saying is that you'll still get kind of the main creative artsy photograph, but actually you can reassure people that you still actually try to do the candid, natural. You'll capture the whole day, and it's a balance between those two things that you're going to give people that balance.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's everything from your morning prep is like very much fly on the wall kind of side of things, really. You know, I think
it kind of has to be, because the nerves are at the. Do you find that they're at the highest in the morning?
Yeah, I think it's always that calm before the storm as well, you know, and it's
and no one knows what they should be doing.
Building, and you have a bridesmaid running around making tea for someone who doesn't want tea, you know, and it's just.
The dad's out painting his shed because he doesn't know what else to do.
He's just told to be outside, you know. It's just and then you're putting the ribbon on the car. That's its own stress, its own, you know, and you have to be there to make pressure on him as well. You know?
And we tend to stand back and get the shots and then step in and just get it done.
I know, and this is it. And I suppose, like, for that side of things, really for me, and I think for most of it, it's just it just flows naturally up to the church. You really kind of come into your own and take over as a photographer when you're in your own session with the couple. Yeah. Everything else after that, you just let it flow again, you know. And I think that's kind of what I tell to my couples as well, is, you know, it's very much it's full coverage. It's kind of unpressured coverage as well, you know.
But you're not going to step out of the shadows until you need to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
Yeah, we would do the same.
But that's a nice phrase. I like that unpressured kind of coverage, whereby, like, a lot of people use the word.
Who's going to wrap that now?
Unobtrusive.
Copyright that now.
Excellent keyword. A lot of people are unobtrusive, candid, photojournalistic. They're there, but unpressured. I think that's important, because people are
Sean, there you go. We can end this now. But I suppose, while you're kind of like touching, I suppose for people it might be good because for photographers, I suppose, like, we do this all the time, and the obvious things to us are the least obvious to someone who actually hasn't done it. Like, we did a wedding there at the weekend. She was the first of, you know, she's 3 siblings and herself. She's the first in the house to get married.
Yeah.
They've never had a wedding morning in their morning. The family haven't. I think her brother made a joke on the way out the door, and he was like, "Thanks so much for today. Haven't been at a wedding since I was 10."
Yeah.
So, like, that's how little weddings.
Mad, isn't it? Yeah, but it's so common. Yeah,
that's it. And it's kind of a case of, like, you know, for all the weddings we do, and what's really obvious to us as photographers is not obvious to the person getting married, because they don't do this a few times a week, every week. Yeah. So I suppose it might be nice to actually, like, I know you kind of touched on the morning and I've been very unobtrusive, and you're kind of letting them kind of chill out, but documenting fly on the wall. Yeah. And that's I suppose that's the morning, and you were saying that, like, you know, the bride's, and it's even when there's the two of us, the bride is, I suppose it's terrible for the grooms, but the bride does tend to get more focus in the morning.
But so most grooms are fine with that.
That's it. Yeah.
I know, I was fine with it too. You know, you stay over there in good hair. You know?
Joke in the morning, like, say, we'll convince them to have a shower type thing. Yeah. Because the girls do tend to have a lot of a structure, and it's hours of a structure. Kind of preparation, whereas the lads are kind of. I've been in the morning where, like, the sister's looking after him. Kind of, he was a very quiet lad looking after him, and 15 minutes before we were leaving, he ran up. I go, I better have a shower, and the sister's like face dropped. Like, I said, what? You haven't even showered yet? Yeah. He was up and down in 10 minutes, done out the door, and she was shocked because of the hours difference in preparation, and the approach is totally different.
No, it is, and, like, I suppose, you know, you talk about the things that are less obvious. I think one of the main things that I see is what time do you think my ceremony should start?
Such a good question, Sean. It's like the hardest topic there ever was.
I suppose even things like, as you said, the less obvious. And a lot of people would ask, like, what time should the ceremony start?
Yeah.
Where do you think we should go for photos?
Yeah.
What would be kind of the rundown of they're asking you, because you're seeing every part of it.
Yeah.
From start to pretty much finish,
That's it. Even like from, like, suppose if we go from the morning, like even the bride getting in the dress, like it's like, and it does actually matter, like, because I've had mornings where, like, for whatever reason, they think that 15 minutes before you're leaving is going to be plenty of time. Sure, I'm just stepping into the dress.
Yeah, it's not.
You and
it's
I
not
know
just
it's not that.
It's not that simple. It's not
It's
that
not.
simple. No.
And I think at every wedding I've been at, it's like not a case of something's gone wrong, but there's always something missing. No matter how organised the person is, and someone's not running around the house, where are those earrings, or where's that? And then suddenly you think you're ready to go, and they start to pack a overnight bag.
Yeah, I know. Or it's where's the lipstick for the final touch?
It's
in the bag. Yeah. It's in the uncle's car. He's up at Spar at the moment getting something.
It's a typical Irish morning.
It's standard, really, isn't it?
And I always say to people, like, you need to give yourself an hour. Like, to get dressed, you do. Like,
absolutely.
And that's before you time. Whatever. No, you could be 2 minutes from the church. It could also be an hour from the church.
Yeah, but I think it's things as well, like for us and for videographers as well, we need to be gone before that. We need to be there. So like the coverage, there needs to be at least a 15-minute buffer there. Yeah. At least,
Get those guests arriving, the groom sweating and...
Absolutely, totally.
But what is your approach? So I suppose we're looking in the sense of we're two, so we can split it up and kind of let it go right up to the wire.
Yeah.
So that people understand, like, if there's a solar photographer, which is fine, and it's a traditional way of doing it, but that is, you need a certain amount of time to get to the church, and then what type of things are you doing at the church, and then what's your approach, I suppose, walking up the aisle?
Yeah, I suppose for me, when I get started, again, it's very much candid approach. I'm just getting guests chatting and laughing. You'll always find that before ceremony start, everyone's meeting people for the first time. We haven't met in a long time either, and just the laughter, the banter is always flowing really well, and there's some great images you can get just in people talking in the pews.
The expressions when they see each other, it's lovely, isn't it?
It's brilliant, and it's great. And I had a wedding back the end of January, and you can tell that a lot of people hadn't seen each other in some time, and some of the photos it's just full proper laughing, just proper joy in the photo. You can really get that emotion
from here down, which is great as well.
They're looking through a letterbox lately, isn't it? Sometimes,
It's actually been strange recently, whereby not having to wear a mask and you can have a big smile, and now you can put people at ease, because one, like, particularly say in a drinks reception, I always say, you're the weirdo with a camera spying on people. And it was grand that if you smile at someone, they can go, your man's alright. Now you had a mask on, so now you're a weirdo with a mask on.
And you're just raising your eyebrows, because that's what you're doing.
I'm smiling under here, I promise.
So back to the ceremony. That kind of before she walks, you were talking.
You're right. Like, I suppose normally I'm always outside to meet the bride when they talk, get your traditional with your car shots. Your car shots. You've flower girls. Normally I just say
flower crowns off and
frisbees. Absolutely. The flowers are dumped outside before they come down. It's brilliant.
It's great crack outside the door.
And it's even just things like, I normally say who's walking up first, and I say just like, I'll be at the top, I'll give you the thumbs up, and you'll hear the music, and normally I'd say to maybe a bridesmaid, look, just because some of them can be very, very small.
So small.
But the photos can be brilliant as
well
when they're coming. They're so much fun. There's such good crack when they're coming up the aisle.
But even small things like that, because I think for like when you are, and especially when there's kids involved, and it's purely a case of like, well, sometimes because I'd be down the back to get that angle when we're doing it, but even when I say you cue the music and you can hear the music from the top, but when you're at the back, because sometimes the cathedrals could be so large, you can barely hear it, so you're not even too you're like, is it playing, is it not playing, and you're kind of like looking for, but you giving someone a little bit of a signal to say it's okay to walk now, like those, it's just such a big thing to somebody.
It is, and it just makes the flow, because a lot of the intro musics as well, they can be quite timed. If you get a long aisle as well, and you have 6 bridesmaids and you have kids, we're going back into a second verse again, but it's like, I suppose for me then, I'm normally at the top, I'm normally I'm on the altar, near the groom, and normally I would ask the groom, are you looking down, are you looking up? Because
but do what you want.
do whatever you do, but you kind of need to position yourself something slightly different as well when a groom
Well, you don't
is
want
looking
just the
up
back
or
of his
down.
head.
Yeah, I'd have been happy with it. It's okay, you know, fresh baths
He's
and
got
everything.
great hair though. Yeah.
But it's just, I suppose, a lot of the grooms as well that you think they're absolutely perfect. The emotion kicks in when you see your bride walking up as well, and that's what you want to get.
Yeah.
You know, you really do want to get that.
Glisten of a tear.
Yeah, and it's not even sometimes with the bride, but I've had couples where they've had kids, and it's the kids walking up.
Yeah. Big hug.
That jerk the tears as well,
Yeah.
you know, and it's they're great moments. You really want to make sure you get, so it's just making sure you're positioned in the right spot, and these are kind of things that I try and tease out as well before the day, just to make sure, because you want to absolutely nail these shots for them. You know?
It's not something like I always say to someone as well. Like, it's kind of a case of, you can't say, "Can you stop and redo because I'm not quite ready," or do you know, that's not quite the angle I was looking for.
I
think we'll redo it. Yeah, no, there is parts of the day for us. They're big. They're pressure moments for us in a sense, I suppose. Yeah, because like the rest of the day, at least if something, like say the light changes and the sun comes out and it's glaring, at least you can go, okay, we'll just move. It's fine.
We can alter it.
Yeah.
It's when it's the process is going through, especially for that
it's a big thing.
Like I always find the first kiss as a bride and groom is probably one of the most stressful points for me, because
especially when it's a really quick one.
Yeah, exactly.
you're like, oh god.
You know, and it's.
I hope the priest doesn't announce that I'm desperate for being like, you know, in the middle, and they're like, if they look out to the thing and he hasn't announced it, I'm there going.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, please do it.
Sometimes they get it and they do it.
Just a little shift. Just a little shift.
Snog the face off him. The priest won't mind.
I know. But I think as well, and a lot of thing I'd ask as well is, you know, some priests have different. Let's say if we go for traditional.
Every priest is different.
Every priest is different. I'm trying to be politically correct there.
It's okay,
but
Sean.
every priest is different, and there are some times where, you know, you exchange the rings and you kiss. There's other times where they go and light the candle and they come back down and they give a kiss. Sometimes at the ceremony.
Or they do it on the altar when they do a prayer.
Or one I've had it just before they go sign the registry, then they give the kiss and you're 1,500 yards away from them because you're getting ready to do something to go and get your flash or whatever. So, you know, but it's just.
And some priests don't ask. They don't.
And they don't do it at all.
And it doesn't happen.
No.
In those moments, you know, when sometimes you might get the bridal party before they walk out, just that quick shot. I'll whisper it to them, like, instead of saying it in front of the 200 people.
Yeah.
After we do this photo, if I like give you the nod, will he do a kiss?
Yeah,
so at least it's like,
it's great to be able
and
to
everyone
do that,
kind of applauds, kind of thing. So there's a little bit of a
and I've had that where you do it down halfway down the aisle, you know, you just say it's half done, just do it, you know, because everyone's cheering around them. It makes kind of cool shot. It makes a really good shot, you know.
But it's I think it's being aware, like, and knowing the running of a wedding as well, that like you know that this didn't happen, and you're kind of going, right, what can I do? Like it's okay if it doesn't happen. It doesn't, like, every wedding is different.
Yeah, totally.
But it's just kind of been there to kind of like thinking like, well, what alternatively can we do to get this shot for them, kind of thing. Or and if it's a videographer, to make sure that like you've given them, I always give them a heads up, I'm going to ask them to have a kiss. There's been no kiss, kind of thing. So like they're there and they're ready as well, because I'm always kind of like, you want your photos. But the video is really important, so like you're going to like bring them with you and tell them, I'm going to try and get them to do this, like be ready, kind of thing.
And like a video, we're so hand in hand with each other, and it's unbelievable. You know, a lot of people ask about the video and who do you recommend and how it is, and you know, it's just one of these things where you're like, look, get a style that you like, but get a style that might match in with your photography as well, because we probably operate on the...
you towards that there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You're there.
You're showing knowledge. But you're right, it is, it's like we're probably one of the rare suppliers that actually interact with everyone from start to finish in terms of the wedding. We get to see so many and interact with all different suppliers. Yeah. But really, the video is probably the most interactive that we have.
Yeah.
And we have the most impact on each other's kind of product that we deliver to the couple. So like you say, it's a lot of people kind of put a lot of effort into the type of photos that I have, and I'm not comfortable with this, I want the other thing. They pick a style that they like. Everyone has a different opinion about what type of photos or videos or music or films they like, but like in terms of the video then it tends to be a little bit of an afterthought, I suppose,
Yeah.
in the sense of you put so much work into picking a photographer, and then you just go, I like that video, I book him. And it might not be the same approach or style to how it's actually produced on the day. How are they going to interact with you?
Well, it must be one of the number one questions asked, on these forums and things online is I'm torn. I don't know whether, and the sentence is usually a case of well, I have a photographer booked. Do I need a videographer? And I always say to people, absolutely yes, because it's a completely different product. Like photography, like having your photos afterwards and having a video, they are not the same thing. And video will capture things that I won't capture, and vice versa. And it's so important.
And I think even from a photographer point of view, we bounce off each other really well on days. There's something that we will see, and a videographer might have a different change, but the angle or whatever way he'd work it for his video actually works really, really well for that photographer. But you might not see that on the day. And when you're in the moment, you're going all the time. Sometimes just a slightly different adapted approach at it it just makes it just gives you that different twist on a shot. That's again. It's great.
And that's totally something that's it's as you said, it's important that you have at least it doesn't have to be the exact same style, but just at least the same approach.
Yes.
Totally. So that you're trying to do say you're trying to do your creative shots. Like if the videographer has a style of he's videoing you from this distance, you're now that's it. Or if they have a thing about you're going to perform to the a bit in that sense, and you're trying to get 100% candid. You will work together where you can, but it is going to in some way impact on both of you because you're trying to make it work, but it's not quite flowing.
I know, and this is the thing. And these are things, and I suppose a lot of people when they ask as well about videographer. And they say, I'm torn. And I think a lot of people, and particularly when I was getting married, I think you think back to the videos that were half hour, 40 minutes. People walking is literally every part of the day. Now it's so cinematic, it's so creative now. There's a 6 or 7 minute highlight video. You can get the bigger version of it if you want. There's so many, a videographer will offer nearly as much packages as what a photographer will do. And it is the age of Instagram. Everything is that highlight, that 1 minute highlight reel. These are what people want now. Most people want, and it's. I would never knock. I would always say to any couple on the fence about it, definitely just really give it thought and go for it if you can. Obviously budgets and everything.
And even couples kind of go, they're really against it, but they're kind of terrified that they're not recording, say, the ceremony. And one of the big things I highlight to them is the audio of the ceremony and that moment of saying your vows. That triggers something in the brain, and that's something completely different. And
you see it as well in the video. You might not be looking for it, but the overlay of the talking over the video, it's so cinematic. It's really really well done. And it's really no video is ever the same.
But I think a good tip for people is that if you've put a lot of time in, I've researched Sean, I want Sean, I'm excited about Sean's photos. Check in with Sean and his sound.
You want equal soundness out of the videographer.
The videographer needs to be just as sound,
absolutely. If he's so negatively sound that he brings down Sean's soundness, that's a detraction. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, it wasn't at all actually.
Affected my
but I think if photographs are your primary focus and you're getting a video because for whatever other reason you're getting a video, check in with Sean and be like, Sean, can you recommend anyone or have you worked with this person? And Sean will give you an honest opinion, won't you, Sean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But vice versa then as well. The videographers, we know that they've been booked before the photographer's been booked because video is their absolute primary on the day. So it works the other way. Go to your videographer and say, I'm going to get a photographer. Who'd you work with? Can you recommend anybody? What do you think of this? Kind of thing. So at least then, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but it definitely, it's two separate companies. So you could hire us and you could hire yourself. And you're being told as two completely different entities work together.
I know a lot of people don't, but a lot of people don't think that, and I think you're the one crowd, and I found when, because I suppose I'm relatively new in terms of into the scene of this as well in terms of the last few years. And there's some videographers that I would have never worked with, or you work up the country, different areas. But you always nearly 99% of the time you always click perfectly on the day, and because
Yeah,
we're all there to do the same job,
you know. It's very rare there's a major issue. Like it really is. Most like to put people at ease. Like we work with so many different videographers. We work in Leinster and Munster, so we see so many different venues and so many different suppliers. Like the majority of the time, there's no problem. And we're not trying to be over negative. What we're kind of highlighting is just I suppose like have a chat with a videographer and have a kind of interaction with them as much as you would with your photographer. Is what we're just suggesting. Just so that you're comfortable on the day, because it's you knowing what you're getting as well. Rather than people just presume, oh, they're going to record a video and that's all it is. But they're going to interact with you probably the way the photographer does.
It's the exact same amount,
It's important.
No, definitely, and
make sure they're not crazy. No. Same as your photographer. Make sure they're not crazy. Do not hire another. But I suppose, and then when it comes to like the photo shoot part of the day. And I suppose family is a little bit of a hot topic when it comes to this, because I know that every photographer has their own way of like documenting those family groups kind of thing. I know some photographers don't do it at all. They're purely candid, and they don't set up groups, and if you set up a group they might take it from a distance, but they're not going to get into next we're going to have. How do you approach the family on the day?
I suppose the main ones that I would do is look, we'll always get your immediates. I'm very much a fan of look, you need to get your parents, your siblings, and anyone else that's really, really close to you.
I feel like
after that.
Scripted him before he came in. Read that. Just there. Read that out. Shut up.
I think for the family shots, really, it's just I'll set it up as much as kind of what's important to them. And a lot of couples would ask me, look, will we make a list? Generally, for me, I think to an extent they're very, very good. One thing advice that I would give is they give me a list. I have no idea who John is and all that. So I'd always say to them, look, spread it between give one to a bridesmaid, one to a groomsmaid, or whoever knows the family well, let them get it organised. And I normally talk to them maybe before the ceremony or just as it's ending when we're doing when the registry is being signed. I'll just have a quick word and say, look, you might just just give people a prompt to say, look, we're just going to do these outside or inside, depending on the weather, what the church is like, what the venue is like. Generally, my approach is if I can get the families outside for photos, I always love doing them outside. I think it's nicer. Church lighting
Churches are beautiful in Ireland, but
they're lovely, but the lighting is very orange.
Especially in winter. They put on heating lamps and everyone's bright orange.
Everyone's just Simpsons, that's all it is, you know. It really is, you know.
Would you like the Simpson look or would you like the daylight look?
But you do allocate a core time for families. If no one was to give you a list, you have a rotation and you have your key moment, your key kind of combinations that you know you're going to get. And that probably covers off a lot, does it?
It does, yeah. I think once you have you do parents each side, your immediate family, if they want the extended, like partners, kids, a majority of that is covered. I normally say if we're under pressure for time, look, I'll be at the reception. We can do friends, cousins at the reception. A lot of these are less formal anyway when you come to this, in my own opinion. So, we can get them. Don't panic that if we're not getting everyone straight away.
Well, time is always a thing on a wedding day. You are always against the clock. So, and we actually do the exact same thing. We say immediate family is like the most important. And as you said, parents, siblings, their partners and kids. And anything outside of that, we're happy to take any photograph you want us to. But at the same time, I think getting the couple photographs during the day, especially in the winter, is a little bit more important than taking a group photo with your friends from college.
Yeah, I know. And,
we can get both, but there's a good time for both.
Yeah, and that's it. And I suppose you touched there on the, let's say, winter aspect and ceremony times. Yeah. Some couples will have a 1:30 or 2:00 ceremony. You're looking at 3. You could be looking at 3.
Well, if it's a church ceremony, it is.
You're an hour really. Then your family that can be as good as a half an hour, if not longer.
But by the time they congratulate everyone on the way out the door, and
with the bigger and going back to your COVID days and people like that, when you have 25, 50 guests, they would all be gone out and you'd be able to. But now we're looking at 200, 250 people again, which is brilliant. But it takes a lot. So I would always say to people to have a think about these other little things. Talk to the photographer, talk to the videographer, talk to everyone about that.
And how do you feel about the first look option? So say in the winter time, because there is some venues in Ireland where they have a 3 o'clock ceremony. This is just the way they run things, and they're there's no moving on it. This is how the day runs when you're booking them, and that's what it is, kind of thing. And I hear all the time, oh, should the ceremony be done by 3:30? Sure, you can start the photographs at 3:30. And the truth of the matter is that even if it's not a church wedding, it's still going to be, even if the ceremony is half an hour, everyone needs to exit. You need to physically move from where you are to the photo shoot. It's now 4 o'clock. What time does it get dark in December?
It's
4 o'clock.
You're on the limit in November, December, January. You're on the limit of your times, and if you get like a church at 2 o'clock, you can be arriving to a event. Like I have a couple of weddings next June, July, summer months. But let's say they're North Cork, and then they're going to Killarney.
An hour and a half drive.
These are things that need to factor in as well. So you need to kind of maybe think about, could we go a little bit earlier? And so even if it's a half an hour. Half an hour is a nice little bit of a window.
If you get back 30 minutes, it's a big thing for photography afterwards. Whereas you might not think it is that important. Like,
well, you could do a whole couple shoot in 30 minutes.
That's that factored in, and plus there's always going to be a hiccup as well. There's always a hiccup in the morning, It's never 12:30 ceremony. It's always 10:15. It's all,
And as you said with the distances, like there's always like, grand, it's an hour and a half drive, but there could be anything goes wrong.
Anything can go wrong.
You could add 20 minutes to it. You just don't know, kind of thing. But have you done any first looks where it's a case of it's winter time and it's either you're running the risk and you're going to go for those dusk photos, or you're going to try and get it done beforehand?
I've only like a lot of my ones. I've only ever had one in kind of I think it was November. And it was kind of a dull day. And look, but they kind of include their first looks and their family shots as well. Which was brilliant, because when we got to ceremony, that was it done.
I actually quite like it. I know the videographers hate when I say that, because they're like, what time are we starting at? I know. But I'm like, they release. I'm just getting this done.
Just flipping the things, like the ceremony and the photo shoot. It's just flipped. That's all it is.
That's all it is. In terms of the whole aspect of the day, it's still roughly about the same kind of time length in terms of starting in where it would be normally. But no, I do like them. I would be in favour. And I think that there's a nice suspense for everyone.
I quit. You two are just matched up together there. I'll go back into my room.
This is what this is. The surprise to this podcast is.
Laura's a big fan of. There's a different atmosphere to when you come and you do the family photographs. You leave them go off and say have a cup of tea and a sandwich or whatever. You do the bridal party shoot and the couple shoot, and then you do the ceremony. And then after the ceremony, all the formalities are nearly done, other than say the speeches later on. But really after the ceremony, they can then go into the drinks reception, and they feel so relaxed because it's not like then, okay, we need to get 1, 2, 3, 4 done and to get back to the party. It's like they feel like they didn't miss any of the party and they got straight into the party. So I think that there is a different atmosphere, there is a different feel. And you're a big fan of it,
I do, like, I know it probably does, the videographers are absolutely cursing me right now. They're all legit going to get DMs left, right and centre. But like, if and I think it depends on the couple as well. Like, obviously, like, there's some people out there that they couldn't imagine seeing each other before walking up at aisle somewhere in the woods, doesn't matter, but there's music playing and you see each other for the first time. And then there's other people that are just like, oh no, I really don't mind. Sure, we slept in the same room last night and sure, I only saw them an hour ago.
I know. This is it,
the modern things.
It's just such a different aspect to every wedding. Is so different. You really don't see it until you're on our side of the camera,
But I think the main thing is when, like, especially in winter time, is if you're not sure about timing, the photographer is probably the person to ask, because we will give you genuine, as Benny said, like, we see more the day than anybody else, and we will give you the most honest timing opinion when it comes to, like, well, really a ceremony, depending on what type of ceremony it is going to take you this long. Factor in the guest, congratulating you. Factor in the travel, as you said, if it's like between places, and always give yourself buffers. I'm desperate for, like, I'll time a day, but I'm sneakily throwing 10 minutes here and there for myself as a just in case.
You have to though. And I suppose you're talking about your winter ceremonies there, and let's say, look, some venues might not have the time available, or they might do, they're adamant that they 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It's down to us really then, I suppose, just to try and find your nighttime shots. You can get quite creative with that as well. Yeah,
well, you can get the sunset as well in the winter.
You can get gorgeous sunsets in the winter. December can have those cool, crisp sunsets.
Some venues are great with putting lights up outside and you get that twinkly
the
effect.
fairy lights, your umbrellas, your lit shots, you know, all these kind of things, you know. Your sparklers are so popular now as well, and it gets all the bridal party involved.
Booth full of them constantly.
Oh no, it's a fire hazard now.
No, it is. Like the bush is explosive.
I have smoke bombs, like sparklers, there's flowers dried out, confetti in the boot, you know, it's just...
You do love a confetti shot, actually, don't you? But you bring confetti. I think I saw you said that before.
I do, yeah.
Very good for bringing confetti.
I do bring it. I don't know, is it a kind of it's an OCD
thing,
but I know
do you ever get a priest chasing you off then?
No, not yet. I'm faster than him, I keep training.
That's where the running comes in.
That's where it comes in, you gotta be faster than the 7-year-old, just about.
Nice to see you, Father. Confetti, run!
You chasing me with the fire. No, it's like things like that, you know, and...
But I think with that though, it is a case of like you're the type of photographer that you're thinking of every scenario, and if the daytime, daylight, like plan A photographs, when it comes to light or weather or timing, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That there like you have to trust your photographer in a sense that they have plan C, D, E, Z in the boot.
We absolutely we all have it, and you know you get a day that's absolutely thrown down rain or anything, but it might be 8 o'clock, you know, in the summer. And we, you know, Irish summers. Like, I mean, I've done weddings in July, and it's just been absolutely pouring out of the heavens. But if, like, I've had one before where I was kind of pretty much finishing up, but the rain had stopped. I was like, no, we'll go back. I'll go back. We just have to get like an umbrella shot or something, because you know that you really try to just give them as much as you can. Particularly when and you do need to factor in that it's Ireland. You know, we're never going to have it bang on. You know, in terms of weather, you work exactly what you have.
And how much do you love editing?
How much do I love it?
Don't answer that.
It's one of those ones, yeah.
But I suppose, like, outside of the wedding day then as well, do you offer, you know, like when it comes to albums, and I know that, like, a wedding album is quite a traditional thing to have, but I find that, like, not everybody nowadays wants a wedding album, or they might come back in 5 or 6 years' time, and they'll go, actually, do you know what? We'll get a wedding album.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
That's it.
I think from my experience, like I could nearly count on the 2 hands of all of that actually want albums. Very much, it's the digital age, as it says, the Instagram age. You know, everything is in the cloud now. You know, and it really is. Look, even from my own point of view, I still haven't done my own wedding album.
It's okay, it took us 6 years.
You only did it because of the pandemic.
We'll get there, yeah. No,
Boredom.
We were quite long enough, I think, look, it's albums are, I think when you get a printed product, it's absolutely, it's brilliant, you know, it's super to get, and it makes everything very real again. It's something that you can always take out. See, like your prints here, it just even print
a few up there now.
Yeah, absolutely. But even just having them printed is great, because when they're on your phone or they're in, you know, they're always there. But you know, when they're actually just.
But I think though, you are right. It's very much a digital age. But like product options will never go away. They'll always be there for people.
They're always there.
And I think like when people are looking, because there's, I suppose when you're researching photographers as well, like every photographer is going to structure their packages differently. They're going to structure their coverage differently, and it can be a little bit of a minefield for people. And what we say to people is, and it's just touching on the digital side of things, is that like I suppose the main thing to have access to after the wedding is the high resolution like digital images, because like, you know, you can have a physical album, and if the rest of the images are, you know, they've capped them to say, you know, I'm going to give you 300 out of what I've taken, kind of thing. I don't know how you structure it. We don't really cap it. We kind of give you like all the good photographs of the day.
Same.
So you have all the digital images, and I think it's really important that you have access. So I think for people out there when they're looking at packages, it is one of the big things they should look at is, well, do I get the digital images? Are they included in this package?
Yes,
because you could get you can get drawn into, isn't that beautiful? And you're picking it up and you're flicking the pages, and it is beautiful. But you know, if you want to do anything yourself, share them with friends and family. Print them yourself. You don't have to get us to print them. You can do what you want with them.
So, you know, you can do it. You know, there's so many crowds online now that do really good, high quality prints.
That's it.
Good paper.
You get free prints, Sean.
Just pay for shipping, you know.
Just pay for shipping. It might not be as good as what we'll print, but it's printed.
You know. Yeah, and I suppose like I do get asked as well, and you're on about the albums, and they always debate that. But they always the question is like, how many images do I get? And like you said, I don't cap them. I give as much as I can of, as you say, the
now,
good
obviously,
images.
if you like close the eyes and make the scrunchiest, most double-chinned, awful face, no one needs to see that.
No, you're getting it. You're getting it.
No, we all always say if it's a photograph that we can use, we'll give it to you.
Absolutely, I'd be the same. I'd be the same, especially when you go, because you take thousands on a day, you know. And I don't think people realize how many you go through. Even in just morning prep, you could be nearly up to 1,000. You know,
Jesus, Sean, you're doing it all wrong.
But you really could be between.
But even the family photographs, please look at the camera. Please look at the camera.
Yeah.
Open your eyes.
Always, and people. I think when you're doing family photographs as well, people, you think it's one shot and you'd be there taking over because there's always someone. Always someone looking that way. I'm trying to Photoshop their eyes back on. Is not easy. It's not great. So we're not going.
No.
In terms of your packages, so particularly, I suppose, if people go and look at 5 photographers, they'll get 5 different structures as to how they structure their packages. But like the key things are photos, access to photos, whether it's digital, the time coverage that you do, and then I suppose there's additional products after that. But like you mentioned, you try and give them as many photographs as possible, and they get the digital USB and online probably as standard. And then in terms of, do you packages it structured in terms of time, or how do you operate then?
Yeah, so like I for myself, I kind of keep it as simple as I can. I just do 2. I can keep it with 2 packages.
Okay.
So one will be, let's say, up to your reception, your bell call.
Okay.
And depending on that, some people are kind of adamant they want speeches. But speeches can be different because speeches can be split. They can be half to the So
they can all be 10 minutes or an hour long.
They can be 10 minutes, they can be an hour long, and that is a big factor. I suppose, and then you have your commercial after your first dance, and that's the main one that most people go for. Is because you have the full the dancing. It's also that in between phase. I think between your bell, when your meal is finished before your band starts, there's always that half-hour window, particularly in the night time or the evenings. If there's
that's when you get your sparklers out.
That's when you get them in because it's 10 minutes, and people don't realize how quick you can do it and how much it adds to your gallery as well. And it's usually that when you really get the banter flowing as well with bridal parties.
I find that when you're even when you're looking through the digital like wedding gallery, and it's kind of a case of like, and everyone loves something different, but me personally, I kind of like find when it stops when the bell calls, I kind of feel like it ended, but like it kind of feels like an abrupt end. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas if it ends on the dance floor, you're like, well, that's how the night ended.
Yeah.
It ended going mental on the dance floor.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no.
Well, a big part of Irish weddings is like the party afterwards, and I suppose all popular culture is weddings.
No, it is. Yeah.
But like having the band, a live band, and people responding to the band and kind of going mental on the dance floor. Yeah. That's what it's all about. So it's like, you want to see that, you want to mark it like in your photography.
Absolutely, and I think where you're not capturing your, you might not get every guest chatting yourself, but the dance floor is where you can really make up on those.
I'm bruised from Saturday. Genuinely, bruises all on my arm. This woman came swinging off the dance floor. Like, what was she up to? But there has been some days where like I know I love all the photographs from all different parts of the day.
Yeah.
But there's some dance floors where you couldn't script it. Like the photographs you can get when people have a couple of drinks in them, and especially do you find at the moment where live music was actually banned. This is so funny if you think about it. And dancing was actually illegal.
Penal times.
Episode of Footloose. But it was. Do you find that like when the band gets going now and the guests haven't been to a wedding probably in the last 2 years, and if they have, it might have been a different vibe.
Yeah.
But when they hear that live music, like the main guy in the band really has a bit of an easier job. The whole room is oh my god, they go mental.
It's Maniac 2000. Like it's just it's unreal. Yeah, and it's I think from our side as well, it's unreal to see it, and it's great to see bands back at it full time now. And just the world feels normal again with it. It really does, and it's so good. It's brilliant. It's so.
You can go away it's knackered, but I love it. It's like
it's
a complete adrenaline, and you get halfway home in the car and then you fall asleep.
It's unreal. It's just Diarrhea and Lucas. It's just.
That's an interesting combination.
It's just all about the hydration, After the day, it's full on. You can't it, It's.
Oh man.
No.
But Sean, I just want to say thanks so much.
Thank you.
Like you've given a lot of insight there now.
I don't know.
You did. I don't think you realise. But I love your stuff. Benny's never seen your stuff. I'm joking.
No, to be honest, I've never seen the internet.
That dialing
I'll show you later. I'll show you later. I know,
Definitely, I think your
yeah.
passion comes across. Like at the
Yeah.
start, we were talking about you being sound and whatnot, and kind of have a personality. But I think having a genuine passion is really important.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I think that comes across,
Yeah.
and that's nearly as important as you have to be able to do photographs, but at the same time, it's like if you don't want to do weddings, if you don't have the ability to interact with people, it's a tough job.
Yeah.
So, but I think it comes across that you have an interest, and I think that's great. Yeah.
bit of an honest approach going on with your soundness, Sean.
I must find out who these people are. Or something else, because I'm getting worried now.
Hashtag Sound Sean.
Sound
I'm
Sean.
going to start that.
Jesus. Maybe just one on Instagram.
Sean is sound.
Sean is sound,
you look
yeah,
at this less
yeah.
than 100 hashtags. Yeah.
But Sean, thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you
in.
so much. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's great to talk.
It's great to see you in
meet
person.
you.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's
person.
brilliant. Thank you so much.